Okay, alright. It's my day off, and I have to say I'm really tired. I can't tell you how tired I am. Oh, hang on. There is an ad. No, I'm not an advertiser. Or maybe I am. Skip the ad. There we go. Got past the ad. Alright. So, this is my day off. I'm going to be just doing my own thing. I will do my intro and all the sorts of stuff like that. But anyway, look, if you're re-watching the video, you will find the start time down in the description somewhere when I finally put it in there, when it's tied in. Yes, yeah, I'm so tired. Joe, if you're tired, I'm definitely tired. Anyway, normally I present everything and then I open up to questions. That's not today. Today is my day off. I am painting, so you are welcome to chat along with me while I try to paint my miniature. Okay, so let's get started and then we'll go from there, shall we? So unplug this thing. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I'm going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons. But while I happen to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons, I'm probably going to be trying to paint my miniature. And I went and bought myself Nolzur's marvelous miniature. It's the Shambling Mound. I have to really I'm so thankful to Armel. He gave me a discount on it, which was really nice. That's my local game store. Armel Singh from Vagabond Games or Live Wire Games in Auckland. And yes, you are completely correct, Admiral Akbar. Is that a chipmunk with a bazooka? It certainly is, because the Shambling Mound ate his father. So prepare to die. It's going to be bazookaed. It's the only way I think you could probably get rid of a Shambling Mound. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is just scroll through here. I found myself a picture which I don't know that I can necessarily paint it that way. I mean, I'm alright at painting. I'm not like an expert. This is not like a painting tutorial. You're welcome to grab your own stuff and hang out with me while I try to do this thing. It does look like it's very much based off, to a large degree, the imagery from the Monster Manual. When I was looking at it, the sort of the miniature itself, it looked pretty similar. Not exact, but pretty similar. Anyway, let's go and you know how I feel about unboxing. I don't like to unbox miniatures. I really dislike it. But I thought I would do it anyway because, oops, I lied. I already unboxed it. I had taken it out of the box. I just put it back in the box, and it had a few mold lines on it, so I filed some of them off. Some of it was successful. Some of it was not so successful. And that is the miniature that I'll be painting today. Yeehaw! Okay, so my plan is, I did think about painting the miniature in such a way that you could see the whole process. So filing the video down, the miniature down, so you could see all the filing. I know that's like super interesting. It's a bit like watching paint dry, but I decided to skip past all the filing, even though there's a huge demand for it. And I would actually paint it. Now, normally what I do is I paint everything black. So it's like today I'm going to paint the whole thing black. No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm not going to paint it black. I'm going to actually pick out some of the details. So you can't really see the miniature because it's not painted. But I have found there are so many mold lines on this thing. It's just covered in mold lines. When I was filing it and trying to trim things off, it was actually a bit awkward because of the miniature, and I don't want to actually damage the stuff that's on there already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, I'm going to paint certain areas, certain colours, and then I'm going to come back and then start with my green. So I'm going to go brown, green, forget about the black, worry about black some of the day, and I'll deal with the black last, because black goes on easy, whereas everything else doesn't really. So I'm just going to give it a quick sort of brush down, just make sure. I did actually try to make sure I got all the bits of dust off it, but you're never too sure if it's going to stick on there. You know, when you're filing away, think, oh, okay, it's all come off, but no, it doesn't actually do that. So I'll give it a quick brush, just for the sake of it. It might actually help. It seems to be doing something. There could be paint, could be something else. As I was saying, I'm really tired today. I'm so tired that, you know how that saying is, you're so tired you feel like, or you were hit by a truck. I feel like I was hit by a train, 2 trains, each coming in different directions from the left and the right, and I was in the middle. That's kind of how I feel today. So I'm going to use Vallejo paints and these Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments Monster paint set stuff. I've got owlbear brown, so I'm going to use the owlbear brown. That's the army painter paint. Just a little bit. I did actually shake all my paints significantly. I spent like half an hour? No, it might have actually been an hour just shaking up paints. Just trying to get it sorted out. Yeah, Joe, yeah, dang, I thought you were going to do the filing as well. Yeah, I know it's like it's a high demand thing, getting an opportunity to watch somebody file off all of the mold lines. It's like, why would you leave that out? I mean, honestly, I don't understand. I would imagine this is like the best type of YouTube content you can have. Live streaming the painting process of a miniature. How long does it take to paint a miniature? Well, for me it takes forever, but somebody who actually knows what they're doing, probably a lot less time. So I'm applying owlbear brown to the brownie bits to start off with a sort of a standard Citadel paint brush. Oh, and for those of you who are wondering why you can hear cicadas in the background, it is a really hot day. It started off as a overcast day, and of course then the sun came out. And now that the sun has come out, it's really, really hot, and I could have closed the doors and the windows and got rid of the sound of cicadas. But then I was thinking, then I would have to have a fan, or I would have to melt. I didn't really want to melt and suffer that. So that means you had the choice of listening to the sound of a fan or the sound of cicadas. I decided that the cicadas will win. And I don't know if you can tell, but the cicadas are having a good old time. They're singing away there. They're so happy. Happy to be alive. We need happy sounds. I need happy sounds. What's that, Darren? Oh, hi Darren, how's it going? I'm subbed to 13 file channels, all files all day. Ooh, really? Okay, so in other words, I have not understood the YouTube audience, and that filing is actually really important as a content. I'm not sure that YouTube would agree with you, but you guys tell me, would you have preferred the sound of a fan, or would you have preferred the sound of cicadas? Because that's what they are. Cicadas. Oh, that's a little bit hard to get at, that one. See if we can get in there. Just I don't know how successful this is going to be, because it is still quite warm, and so my paint is going to dry fast, and it's probably it's humid. Yeah, it's definitely humid. I feel like that's one of the brown bits there. I've painted it anyway. And let's go with another one that looks like it's a brownie bit. Don't think those are brownie bits. I think they're supposed to be green. That looks like it might be, so we'll attack. It's kind of like a tusk almost, isn't it? It's probably not a tusk, but anyway. I know what I've done. I've just applied too much water to my brush, but we'll give it another shot anyway. Oh, there we go. Casey Brooks, yeah, how's it going, man? I brought the same mini a few weeks ago and got it painted right away. It turned out great. It's really awesome mini. Good. I'm glad, because I thought when I saw it, I was like, no, I won't buy it. I need to eat. And then I sort of looked at it again, and Armel picked it up and showed it to me, and I was like, okay, all right. He's showing it to me, and he's talking about how successful these unpainted miniatures have been in the store, and I know he will give me a discount. And then I was like, I cracked. I just couldn't help myself. It's that miniature addiction. My new income will be able to cope with it. Just my current income is not going to be able to cope with it. But anyway, I'll worry about that later. I'll just have to eat pumpkins. I've got 4 big pumpkins there. I'll just eat them. Nah, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. I get some money coming in from the job once they figure out what they're going to pay me out. I've got some holiday pay and annual leave owing, so that's always nice. Darren, we don't have cicadas here, but they sound peaceful. They sound. Is it peaceful? I know it's. I feel like it's relaxing. I know I don't sound relaxed. Give me a few weeks. Give me a couple of days, and I will eventually sort of hype down a little bit. It's been a bit tricky, I have to say. I went and did all the paperwork for my new job yesterday, and at the end of the day I was like so tired. I was like, oh my god. I drove into Auckland and I was like, oh, I remember the city. Oh, the traffic. Oh no. I'm going to have to deal with that at some point. Okay, so you guys tell me if I didn't get the miniature in the right place. I know as I'm talking and painting, I tend to sort of pull the miniatures out of the screen. You let me know if that's a problem. Okay, so now I feel like there are some browny barky bits in other places. I'm not actually painting it too fancy or anything. Brownie, what's that look like? That looks like a barky bit there. Let's paint that. Oh, that definitely looks like a bit of barky bit sticking out of there. So we'll paint that as well. So how is everybody doing? You all having a good time where you are? Everything going well? Is your games working out? Managed to find enough players to show up for the week? No particular outstanding questions that are just sort of, must ask. Don't worry, I have got a Q&A for Dungeon Masters coming up at the end of this week. So if you do have questions, you can ask it then, or you could just ask me now. It's fine too. Darren, I could fall asleep listening to them. I have found that it's actually quite difficult to fall asleep when the cicadas are going. You can sort of snooze a little bit, but it's not quite snoozable, if you know what I mean. Alright, I need a bit more paint. I have to give them a really hard shake. These little bottles actually feel like there isn't enough space in them for just shaking paint around sometimes, so hence. And because it's so hot, I will only apply a little bit at a time because it's probably just going to dry out. Are you driving home from work, Darren? I kind of figured my timing might sort of coincide a little bit with that. I hope you're not watching me and just listening. If you're just listening, it's all good, right? If it's when you're trying to drive and watch somebody else paint miniatures that it's going to be a problem. I am totally aware that there is a complete market on social media for just people who talk and don't show anything. It makes a lot of sense, I guess. I mean, I can't imagine how long it takes you to drive home. I know it used to take me about 50 minutes to an hour. I'm probably looking at a lot longer than that now. That's the joys of working in the city and living so far away from the city. But, at least I get the cicadas, right? Well, I would get the cicadas in the city anyway. What's that, Darren? Holiday here, so it's a day off for me. Right, oh good. That's excellent news, Darren. I'm glad that you've got a day off. I am trying to get myself into a point where I start thinking I'm on holiday rather than that I'm working. It's been difficult to get myself to think that way, and I was really stressed. Hence this is why I'm painting, probably when I shouldn't be, on a day which is far too hot. Mel, how's it going, Mel? AMSR Sindar channel, Mel? My cicada channel. The cicada channel, that's right. My D&D group is texting as you speak, trying to find a time to play for everybody. Oh no. You haven't missed any builds as it happens. I was very tempted to build a monster today, Mel, and then I was like, it's going to be too stressful because, as you know, I only have a smidgen of an idea of what I'm doing, and I just do it live. There's no cut, there's no pre-planning, there's no reshoot, there's nothing like that, And sometimes it works out well, or most of the time it has been, and sometimes it's just really stressful and I have to try to figure out how to solve the problem on screen. So no, you haven't missed anything. I will be doing some monsters. I bought some material, bought a whole lot of material. For those of you who don't know, I have a Facebook group called HowtoDandD, and I showed people what I had purchased, so I have every intention of doing some builds. So don't worry, it is coming. Not everybody can buy miniatures. Sometimes they're just too expensive. And the best way is to just make them. Make your own. You don't have to sit here and listen to me waffling along, trying to paint this thing. You could be doing your own stuff at the same time. Okay, alright, I feel like, have I got most of the brown bits? I think I have. Alright, sorry about that if I moved it out of the screen. I think I might have done that. You got to tell me when I shift the miniature too far, otherwise I won't know. There. What's this? Joe, I put a bull bearing in my army painter paints. Hey Joe, I have found a slight problem. You've got to be careful about the type of ball bearing. You have to put a stainless steel, a really high quality stainless steel ball bearing into your paints, otherwise it starts to rust. So I hope you have put a really high quality ball bearing in there, because it might wind up changing the color of your paints, and I feel responsible that I had suggested doing that. There apparently Army Painter has their own ball bearings that are supposed to be really good, so just be careful of that, okay? Oh God, oh no, Darren's done the same thing. Oh jeez, oh. Guys, if it messes up your paints, I really am sorry. Just if you get an opportunity, I don't know how you're supposed to get it out. How are you supposed to get the ball bearing out of a bottle that's as small as these things are? It's like virtually impossible, right? You're never going to get hold of it. It's like impossible. Well, I suppose it's not impossible, but it'll be painfully difficult. Oh my! Hi Steve, how's it going? Jorg, how's it going, Jorg? Hey, gone. Oh, okay, all right. Joe put a stainless steel ball bearing in there. Good news. I did not. I made the fatal mistake of not putting a stainless steel ball bearing in there. Do you know, finding a stainless steel ball bearing in New Zealand is actually very difficult. And is one of the things that I forgot to buy yesterday. Has been. Darren, the ball bearing that I'm bearing thing has been around for a long time. Has been. Magnetic. You can use a magnet to get it out. If it's not stainless steel and it's causing problems, get a magnet. Oh my, this is the thing. This is what is great about this. There's always somebody on here that knows more about painting than I do and can provide super useful advice. Okay, I gotta get some more owlbear brown because it's just not covering. I'm going to probably have to apply brown more than once, but that's alright, that's fine. Just, that's what happens. That's just what happens when you're painting and it's hot. And I could water my paints down or use a wet palette, but the problem is I won't get the coverage. I know I won't. Bingos. Here we go, in there. Rough and ready. Oh, lost him. Compost that will eat you. You know, it makes me laugh when I think about somebody who composts. I have 2 compost bins. I cannot imagine what it would be like to have put my compost in my compost bin, to go over and think I can dig it out to provide it on my garden so that I can make my veggies grow, and find that my compost bin springs to life and tries to eat me. I think that would be terrifying. You can also use ceramic ball bearings. I don't even know where I get a ceramic ball bearing from. Ceramic. I hadn't thought about that. Hard enough to find a metal ball bearing in this country. It's not like we can just like, oh, I just want a ball bearing. No, it's going to be a ball bearing, probably made in China, with low quality metal, and it's probably going to rust, and you'll probably have to tear something apart to get at it. So not so easy. But I will check with Arlon, see if he's got those Army Painter stainless steel ball bearings. Maybe I can get some of those. And I'm reluctant now to put them into my new paints that I've got with the Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments. Very, very unlikely that's going to happen. Oh, and there's a bit of twiggy stuff there. Can I get in there? That's the question. And down the middle. I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different browns. I'm starting with this colour. How long will I do this for? I don't know. We'll see. Just depends. And getting it in there, Kind of reminds me, does anybody remember Fraggle Rock? And there was a compost bin that used to talk. It was a puppet compost bin. Does anybody remember that? It's like the Fraggles would go and talk to the compost. It was like the compost had been around so long that it had developed intelligence and was incredibly wise and provided really useful, helpful advice. It's like, jeez. Ah, dear. I find my childhood years are full of times where I think somebody really was on some pretty heavy stuff when they came up with that idea. The Carter videos, hey, you are here. So am I. So is everybody else. Well, some of us are anyway. Does anybody remember Fraggle Rock and the compost bin? The compost pile, the big pile, Uncle Travelling Matt. Uncle Travelling Matt? Is that Uncle Travelling Matt? I can't remember. Is that the compost name was Uncle Travelling Matt? Oh. I'm trying to remember if that's what I don't remember that. I don't remember Uncle Travelling Matt. Apparently Joe agrees with you. You're probably right. 2 people probably know the answer more than I would. And now I'm going to find the rest of the brown woody bits. Apparently the woody bits are the bits you're supposed to destroy, otherwise the compost does not die. I mean, the Shambling Mound doesn't die. It's going to be really hard for me to pick out just the brown bits and just get the brown bits. Look, I'm not going to be fancy about it. I'm just going to go over it and I'll deal with it later. Okay? Yes, Fraggle Rock and the dozers. That's right, dozers. I remember dozers. I feel a bit dozy now. Darren, dance your cares away. Worries for another day. Let the Fraggles play down at Fraggle Rock. Oh my gosh, you even remember the song. It makes you wonder, doesn't it, where people get their ideas for monsters. Where did the idea of the compost pile that tries to eat you come from? I feel there was a time where everything turned into a monster. It didn't matter what it was. They'd gone through all of the classical myths and legends, creatures that exist, and I'm sure that's a lot of Greek mythology and so forth, and then moved on to anything they could possibly think of. I had an interesting discussion. Was it a discussion? Oh, sort of a discussion with somebody who was watching my videos. Hi Darren, how's it going? I just almost missed you, mate. Almost missed you. I had a discussion with somebody about Dungeons and Dragons and where they get the ideas, you know, and the fact that the current Wizards of the Coast team don't have any original ideas, which is fine, they can have that view, and that they're taking from pop culture. And I'm thinking, well, hang on, Dungeons and Dragons has always taken from everywhere. Pop culture is not excluded. Like, everything to do with Dungeons and Dragons is reappropriated intellectual property. King Kong, Isle of Dread, and there was a like Ape Island adventure that was put out at some point, and that was definitely based off King Kong. Tarzan, you know, I'm sure that Tarzan and Edgar Rice Burroughs' White Ape, the Gorillion, definitely got to be pinched from. I mean, it might not have been necessarily current pop culture, since Edgar Rice Burroughs has been around a while, but it was pinched from other literature that somebody else had done, right? It's not like it was original. So I feel like going on and worrying about the fact that Dungeons and Dragons is taking from other ideas, yep. Stranger Things, pop culture, yes, they've got a starter set doing that. No, it's not original, but look, a whole lot of the ideas that came out of Stranger Things are taken from Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it's not, they're copying from each other. It's not a big, why is it a big deal? I just don't get it. The Dark Crystal, the Labyrinth movie took from Dungeons and Dragons, and Dungeons and Dragons took from the Labyrinth. Look, Alice in Wonderland, good example. What's that? That's The Land Behind the Magic Mirror, takes from Alice in Wonderland. So I feel like it's unfair to say, you know, the design team don't make original stuff, because what's original now? Is somebody actually going to come up with something that nobody else has ever thought of? No, I don't think so. Okay, alright, so I've got to just clean out my brush. I think the origin of the Shambler was the comic, the Swamp Thing. Yeah, I think that's actually probably right. I wouldn't be surprised if, because the Swamp Thing was pretty popular. I know I read the comic book a lot. It was cheap, it came out often, so yes, makes an awful lot of sense. The Carter videos. I'm only 15 and I know about the Fraggle Rock. I'm the most geeky kid where I live. Well, that's fine. We most of us were probably geeks at some point. Oh, hang on, it doesn't stop, does it? Oh dear. Aaron, I'm writing here, I hear a lot. There are no new ideas, only those that are recycled, recombined with others. Exactly. If there's an original idea, I'd be surprised. I would be surprised. I think a lot of us would be surprised. I think the only thing that shocked me was when The Matrix came out and I saw a big huge field of babies being plucked off like ripe fruit. that was a bit of a shock. I remember people walking out of the theatre on that one. But anyway, it's alright. Classic archetypes are timeless. Exactly, Darren. True. So I don't get caught up in, oh, it's not original. Yes, have some of the adventures that they have put out been very similar to other adventures? Yes, they have. They have been very, very similar. Sometimes exact reproductions and additions. So they've done the same thing and then they've added a bit more. So yes, that's true. But you don't have to use them. You know, it's not like, oh, they put out another adventure. It's something I've seen before, and I'm not really that interested in it. A lot of the adventures that came out were based off existing literature, and people just wanted to make them because then they get to actually play in those worlds. Their favourite authors were doing stories they loved and they wanted to be part of that world. Why do you think we have the likes of Star Wars RPGs and superheroes, Marvel superhero RPGs? It's all trying to duplicate that, right? Okay, so here is my problem. I have added water, and I now know that I definitely do not, it's too thin. These Army Painter paints are so thin. I did give them a good shake, so I do not want to be adding water to them because it will mean I will be here for the rest of my life. Well, I suppose that's not a bad thing. Anyway, just so you guys want to know, yep, Army Painter paints too thin to be adding water at this present time. Like the Epic of Gilgamesh, for instance, being the basis for Star Wars and the Lord of the Rings. Ah, okay, all right, get it. With suitable changes and flavors for the desired audience. I just posted my current paint up setup on Facebook. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joe. Okay, where am I? I'm looking for woody bits. I can't see too many now. I feel like maybe I've got most of them. I'm gonna just, I feel like that's a woody bit there. It's not completely clear. For those of you who can't see, fortunately not everybody shows up here for the painting. Sometimes it's just for the chat. We're gonna get some green on here, don't you worry. There'll be green on here at some point. Maybe a bit of orange. I feel like the mushroom should be orange. What's the worst type colour mushroom you could eat? Orange. It just says you will die. Right? Okay. Cool. Alright, so I've got some brown on there. I'm not going to paint over the brown right now because, of course, it probably won't work out very well, so it's a waste of my time. Instead, I will shift myself around and we'll go with a green. And I've got myself Troll Skin Green from, it's a D&D Army Painter paint, Nolzur's Marvelous Pigments paint. Gonna give it a really good hard shake it, baby. Okay, so I've been shaking it and I'm applying it. Ooh, it is really dark. Ooh, I like it. It's cool. Where do I apply it? Where everything that needs to be green, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to go for a bigger brush because I feel like if I use that standard brush, it's going to take me forever, and I want to speed the process up a bit. So I'm going to get crazy. I'm going to get crazy. For those of you who are showing up and thought this was speed painting, no, this is extra slow painting. So what I'll do is I'll use this brush to apply it. And I better wet it, make sure it is wet. Is it wet? Yes, it is wet. It's got a bit of dampness on it, but it's not wet enough, so I'll wet it again, and then dry in excess paint, because Army Painter paints don't like to be watered down. Darren's going to check it out. Joe, thank you for that, by the way. Aaron, a guy at work dropped off a suitcase of his old D&D stuff. Whoa, oh, you're in business now, mate. So that means, what? You're set for life, or what? 2 modules and monster compendiums, maps, and everything. Oh, nice. That is such a rare thing to happen. You know, somebody who actually has old stuff decides to just sort of drop it off, and here you go. Even if you get somebody who decides to sell it all, that doesn't happen that often. It's very, very rare. I know what you're thinking, guys. It's not really going on that great. I know, I realise this. Maybe the brush is too big. Oh, I think that's a woody bit there. Okay, we'll come back to you. Don't paint it green, Fred. Don't paint it green. La da da da. And I'm just gonna get the paint on as quickly as I possibly can. I'm trying. I really am. Big brush. Big brush, big brush, big brush. It's not really doing what I want it to do. Oh gosh. Okay. New plan. New plan. Let's get rid of the paint that I've got already off my brush. And we'll go with a new plan. Smaller brush. Slightly smaller than that one. A bit bigger than the last one, but smaller than that one. Aaron, excited to get to check it out sometime soon when he kids won't be at risk of tearing them apart. Well, I'm not sure. Okay, so when the kids, so it's not risk of the kids tearing them apart. So your kids are quite young by the sounds. Consult the paint by number if you're unsure where the woody bits are. Paint by numbers? I don't think there's a paint by numbers on this thing, unless I'm looking in the wrong place. Now, stiff brush, looser brush. Okay, we'll go with that one. Let's go back to the troll skin green. D&D troll skin green. And I came here for the nerdy chats chat. Casey, you came to the right place. This is the nerdy chat chat, or is it demented, overtired individual who has not really had enough time to unleash his childlike nature, or just rambling nonsense? Joe's having a good laugh. Carter videos. I lost all faith in the army painter paints. Okay, tell me why. I want to know the Carter videos. Tell me why you lost faith in them. I'm very interested to know. I want to know. You should tell me now. Tell me now, because I'm using some of them. They might be called D&D paints, but they are still army painter paints. And I would like to know why. So you can tell me. Nobody else is here. Nobody will tell. It's a secret between just you and me. Bub77, how's it going? I just got this mini. Can't wait to paint and use this for some inspiration. I really want to do a monster tactics video on this creature. I have been stalling. Do you know why? Because for the life of me, I just could not figure out what I would do with the creature. I know what I've done in the past, but would it make a good video? So hence I have left it alone. And it's also a complicated monster, therefore it's one of those things where I've like, oh, maybe I should do a monster manual video, then do a tactics video on it. It's the kind of monster in the monster manual for Dungeons and Dragons 5e that I don't really feel like needs to have an awful lot added to it. It's pretty well encompassed in terms of what's going on with it. Oh, by the way, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different greens. 7, count them, 7. Will they all go on today? I doubt it. I can see that covering the green is going to be difficult. I was told it was. I was told that trying to cover this miniature with green is like extremely difficult. And I can see what they mean. There's so many little crevices to get at. You can see this is army painter paints, and the application of it, you can see, is not great. It's quite thin. So hence why I don't think you need to worry about watering it down. Joe, I think this paint is slower than watching paint dry. That's true. This painting is slower than watching paint dry. Do you know the only thing slower than this is watching cricket? For those of you who don't know, cricket is a game that you play with a ball, a very hard ball, and a bat, and it can take days. Sometimes people have actually been just don't leave the stadium. They just stay there because it takes so long. You have to wear sunscreen, otherwise you would, like, you know, turn into a lobster, because It's like you start at the beginning of the day and you finish at the end of the day. Like when the sun goes down, sun comes up, sun goes down. That's how long. So you can see I'm not a cricket fan. For those of you who love cricket and I have offended you, it's probably not going to be the first time or the last time. Anyway, Darren, I am certain that I'll pick up a Nolzur's troll, but I can't seem to find it. Oh, okay. I think I saw one in the store where I was. Oh, that's definitely woody bit there. Right there, that's definitely wood. That's a woody bit. Okay, so now it has actually helped to actually paint the woody bits in, so I know kind of where the green should be going and where the other bits shouldn't be going. I shall paint his posterior now. For those of you who come to watch me paint the miniature badly, I shall put some paint where the sun don't shine, right there. Has anybody been watching Critical Role's YouTube channel, Between the Sheets? You know, where they talk to people, you know, for voice actors, Critical Role team, famous people about their lives, and they call it Between the Sheets. I call this Between the Legs. Yes, that's right. Between the legs, right there. Okay, I know that's a bad joke. I know that's a bad joke. I do enjoy watching the show, though. I was watching Will Friedle. I never really watched him on TV, but listening to him was very interesting. I did enjoy it. Where's the barmaid? Did you get her finished? Aaron, as it happens, I did not get her finished. I keep painting a little bit more of her, and then I stop and start. I'm actually having trouble because my hands are they just shake like a leaf in the wind, and hence it makes it hard for me to get it done. Carter videos. WizKids still haven't released unpainted versions of the most basic monsters like the ogre. Oh look, it'll come. I think that they have realised there's a big market for unpainted miniatures, even though there are a lot of people who want painted miniatures, that unpainted miniatures have a place. And I'm really glad that they have. I think that's a good thing. Oh, look at this. This is looking appalling. Appalling. No, it's because I've got to try and get it all in all the little crevices. That's half the problem, right? I am trying to apply the paint as fast as possible. It is probably not working that well. Oh, okay. Okay, I need a smaller brush to get in between there. I'm starting to hit the brown. Underneath the armpits, in the front, look there. Look at that, Fred. He's uncovered. He's like he's naked. We can now call this show Naked and Between the Sheets with Monsters. If I come up with something or say something really offensive, it's just because I've obviously got way too relaxed. I do apologise if I offend anybody. It's possible that will happen. But it was interesting when Will Friedle paints miniatures to relax, and I thought that was like super cool, because I got my brother to do that to help him relax, and he still does it, and he does it better than I do. Okay, alright, so let's clean out that brush. Self-aware wolf, how's it going? Of all of your minis, do you have a favourite? Of all my minis, do I have a favourite? I have to say that it's got to be the Ancient Blue Dragon. In terms of monsters, that one I really like. I really like that. I've used it quite a few in my videos. Aaron, I've watched all of season 1 but not 2. Oh, okay, alright. Between the Sheets. I've got to watch the next one. I'm actually finding that more interesting than watching the Critical Role show. And don't stone me to death for saying that, okay? Each to their own. I mean, it's not like I haven't been watching Critical Role, and I probably will watch a lot of it today as well anyway, but I have definitely been watching a lot of Between the Sheets. It's just super awesome. Super awesome. You need to catch up. The ogre was included in the WizKids Icons of the Realms Classic Creatures set. Oh. Okay, so come on, paint, get in there. Okay, so I'm going to apply a little bit more of this, and then I'm going to shift to Vallejo greens. I'm going to go with the Vallejo greens. I feel like they cover better. I could be wrong, but I feel like it is going to work. For those of you who are unaware, that is the sound of a very large cicada. I know it sounds like an aeroplane, but it's not. It's a very large cicada. It's only found in the wilds of New Zealand. It just sounds exactly like an airplane, that's all. Oh, Will Fidel, something like that, was also a guest on season 1 of Critical Role. Yes, he was. Yes, he was talking about that. I did recognise him. I didn't actually know that he was on a TV show. I was like, who is that guy? I don't know him. Is that one of their mates? Okay, that's nice. They've invited one of their mates that isn't a voice actor or actor onto the show. In fact, that was not the case. He was. So anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, so that tentacle thingy can get greened. There's a little bit of green there. Okay, I'm starting to feel like I would have to apply a lot of coats of paint to this miniature with these Army Painter paints. Like heaps. Like a lot. Okay. Looks awful. I realise this, guys. I do understand. After this video, I'll probably have like 20 people unsubscribe. Aaron, we have them in Kansas. I would imagine there are cicadas just about everywhere in the world. They combine they come to about 2 inches in Kansas. How big are they in New Zealand? You were talking about inches. So 2 inches is about 50 millimeters or 5 centimeters. They are roughly about that size to here. The only difference is I have seen them get bigger, but then dragonflies here can get huge. They're usually not in locations where there are people though. It's usually in locations where there's a lot of bush or there's an island. And if you can feel the camera shaking, it's because I'm shaking a bottle, because I'm going to use some Vallejo Luftwaffe camo green. Luftwaffe camo green. It's camo green basically. It's a relatively dark green, so it should do its job. Luftwaffe green. Where is my brush? I've lost it. It was right in front of me a second ago and I've lost it. Oh, that'll do. It's a brush. That'll do. Cool. Got one. Alright, let's grab some green. Let's start with the head. Now this is Vallejo paint and I will apply, oh my gosh. Look at that. I mean, I'm using a scummy brush. It's an old scummy brush, but I mean, you could argue, well, Fred, you've already put some green over it. But look at that, in terms of coverage. Compared to the Dungeons and Dragons paints that I was using. This is much better coverage. I haven't watered the paints down because I'm trying to get the first coat to sort of get there. But that has made a huge difference. There is hope that I might actually be able to paint this thing brown and green before the end of the video. Okay. I know it's not that exciting. Sorry about that. I need a smaller brush to get between there, but that's definitely working a lot better. Let's move the camera or move the miniature, Fred, because you keep moving out of the screen. It is getting in between the cracks a bit more. Notice this. Whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, I'll probably use the green, but maybe I'll go over it after and use it more of as a highlighter rather than, or a darkener or something like that, rather than a coverer, because it definitely doesn't cover that well. Whereas this stuff is going on like magic in comparison. Oh, what's that, Joe? I only use Army Painter, and my greens are very good. Not sure what's going on with yours. Maybe I didn't mix it enough. Maybe it's just a particular green. It is a very dark colour, so I thought it would cover the miniature well. But who knows? Who knows? I'm currently using Vallejo right now, and its coverage is significantly better. I was very pleased to see on the bottles for the Army Painter or Dungeons and Dragons paints, the Nolzur's marvelous pigments, that they're made in Denmark, and it's like it's so rare to see a country producing something that isn't made in Asia. There's so little left, and I was actually really pleased to see that. And I was thinking, that's really cool. Do you know what I used to do when I was working at Mitre 10? When we get products come in, and I didn't have enough space on the shelf to put everything up, I would take the New Zealand products and I would put them on the shelf, and I'll put the Chinese products in the cupboard. Ah, dear. Now, I know that sounds really bad, but you've got to make a choice, right? What's the choice? Is it going to be stuff manufactured in a different country or stuff manufactured in your own country? I think it's a no-brainer. You go with the stuff that is manufactured in your own country. But yes, I think that's quite great. I think that's awesome stuff. I'm not sure. I think the Vallejo are made... Where are they made? Spain? Made in Spain? Is that the place? It's hard to tell. You look at it and you're like, you can't really quite figure it out, but I think it's Spain. Somebody's going to correct me anyway if I got it wrong. I know that's going to happen. Okay, let's just get... Oh, look at that. In comparison to that last colour. This is going on super fast in comparison. I will need to get myself a smaller brush to make it get into all of the other bits, but it does matter. That leafy bit there. Good. That needs some brown on it. We'll deal with that in a second. Let's attack the front, and then I'll have to get another brush, I think, to make this all work. The paint is still drying super fast because the humidity is starting to kick in. I can feel it. Either that or I'm just sweating a lot. Okay, sorry guys, you can't see what I'm doing. I do apologise. I keep moving it around. Maybe that'll help. What's that, Joe? We have the same problem here in the States. It's so nice to buy American once in a while. I think that it is such a waste of a country's resources to be bringing in a product that they could make themselves. You can't tell me that whether you live in New Zealand, Australia, America, Canada, Japan, you know, wherever you are in the world, the UK, South America, that you shouldn't be making your own stuff and buying your own stuff. I think that is such a sensible thing to be doing. Okay, alright, so I'm going to have to probably change brushes because this brush is just not going to be able to cover close to where the branches are without making a mess. But it's certainly helping a lot. Okay. I know it looks terrible, guys. I do realise that. it is just hard to get at everything. I was warned that this might be difficult to actually coat. Suppose it would have been smarter to spray it all green and then work from there, right? James Thompson, hey, I'm just getting into D&D and you seem busy. No, I'm not busy, but I'm torn on playing a druid or a sorcerer. Yes, could you just tell me your preference so I can stop beating myself up about choosing one? So if you're new to Dungeons and Dragons and you're going to go and play a sorcerer or a druid, you must be incredibly smart, okay? Because that's a lot of spells to have to figure out. If you can cope with that, it really doesn't matter. Honestly, I'd just go play whatever you want to play. If you try to play what I think you should play or what somebody else thinks you should play, it's not going to make any difference. Whether you play a sorcerer or a druid won't make the slightest difference. I am currently playing a sorcerer. I often play wizards, but that's beside the point. Just, if you can cope with the difficulty, just go play what you want to play, man. Otherwise, it's just going to make life more difficult for yourself by trying to work by somebody else's standards. It's not really going to help you. And they're both just as difficult as each other, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, one has, you've got wild shape, but you've got meta magic, and meta magic for the sorcerer is complicated too. So you still got to work your way through that. I do have a lot more videos on how to play a sorcerer than I do on playing a druid, but you know, I'm sure you had already figured out the reality of playing both of them anyway. Druids are cool, sorcerers are cool. It's just what do you prefer? Okay, alright, so now that I've got there, which is not really there. I know it's not there. It's definitely not there. There. So Joe, druids are cool, nature, healing, animals, shape changing, sorcerers are kind of unique wizards. Yeah, I think they're unique in themselves rather than being a wizard. But whatever works for you anyway. Casey Brooks. Brooks. Yeah, I did the opposite of you. I slathered it with green all over and then did the woody bits, teeth, painting the mushrooms red. Okay, well Casey, I think you are probably, that was the right way to go. My D&D group is the worst group in the world. Cart of videos, really? No. James, you're welcome for the input. I don't know if it was great input though. Okay, so let's get this camo green on. So you have showed up for a video for me to wind up painting a miniature green. That's different to my usual. Let's paint it black. Sorry, but it is funny. Buy videos. See you, Carter videos. See you later. All the best. I'm just gonna. Okay, I'm just gonna get aggressive now. Just get aggressive. It's like there are brown bits there, but just get aggressive. Make it happen. Anyway. No. So slather it on. Darren, was going to ask why you are so bad. Why is my group so? Yeah, why is your group so bad? Yeah, it's too late. He's gone. Do you know every group has a moment or times when they don't operate well, which is unfortunate because YouTube channels wind up making gobs of videos on, you know, advice on how to deal with bad players or bad DMs or bad groups or da 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 da, and rather than realizing that every group at some point has some issues. Sometimes you work through them, sometimes you don't. Anyway, just give me a second, guys, because I feel like I'm either I've zoomed in so much that you can't see what I'm doing. No, I'm pretty much in the right place now. If I was there. Okay, so that's working out all right. Rich D Angels, how's it going? Following your Phandelver guide. Thanks for the perspective on NPCs. You are welcome. There's supposed to be more than just NPCs, but I just haven't got to it. We will eventually get there. Well, I will get there. And with enough cajoling and pressure from other people, I will get the rest of it sorted eventually. Yes, the intention was to do more than just NPCs. I just haven't got that far. I require a lot of time to draw maps. Yeah, no group is perfect, Darren. Exactly, that is it. I did a video called Scooby-Doo groups, or groups that play like Scooby-Doo gang, and you know, it was a little bit in jest, but that's a little bit like how a group operates sometimes. They can be very Scooby-Doo-ish, where everybody seems to be doing their own thing. You know, one just wants to eat, one wants to just go and set traps, one wants to go and figure out everything, and nobody seems to be working as a team as such, and hence that's why they get into so much trouble. That's part of the fun, I have to say. Sometimes just getting into trouble is just part of the fun. Card of the years. What I meant was, we are the worst is because we make stupid, funny decisions. I even burned my friends alive trying to save him. Yeah, but card of videos. Just because you burnt your friends' characters, because you didn't burn your friends, you burnt your friends' characters alive, but you were trying to save them. That's the main thing. Yeah? If you had been trying to take out their characters and you weren't trying to save them, that would have been very different. That's not the same. Okay, we're back to between the sheets, or should I say between the legs. Oh, look at that. Between the legs is going to be seriously difficult to make happen. For those of you who find this highly offensive, you are welcome to go and check up on Critical Roles Between the Sheets, because right now I'm having trouble getting between the legs. There we go, get in there. Let's wiggle around a little bit. Darren, laugh out loud. All groups are like that cart of videos. That's what makes the game fun. Yeah, exactly. I'm playing a wild sorcerer. I had to ask the group. I did ask the group before I made the decision. I asked my DM, and then I asked them if I could roll on the Magic Wild Surge table every single time I cast a level 1 spell upward, because I knew how destructive and how chaotic it would make the game. They said yes, and it has been the highlight of the campaign, is what will happen to Fred's character and what will happen to the group. I do have to stand a good distance away from the rest of the party when they're adventuring, so about 20 feet is at least 20 feet, otherwise bad things happen. I have fireballed the group. I have done all sorts of things that were really not helpful. Other things that have been really helpful. It doesn't happen very often though. Okay. I need to change to a different brush, because that brush is just too big now. Darren, my group captured one of the goblins, and the ambush forced him to show the way to Cragmore hideout. Oh yes, and eventually stuffed him in a pickle barrel and called him Pickle Juice from that point on. Man, that is so neat. I love that. That's cool. Alright, I'm skipping that brush. I'm going on to my my better brush. There is such a thing? Yes, there is a better brush. And I'm just going to see if I can't sort of paint in here. That needs to be woody, that bit. Yeah, it's better. Slither it, spray the miniature. Don't do what I've done. Spray the miniature green and start there. Spray that baby green. That's if you have spray paint. If you don't have spray paint, then you'll have to use a brush. Where are we? We're painting in here, just down that way. I feel like I've pulled out all these paints for no purpose other than to have to put them all away again. I guess what I will do is I will paint it tomorrow. Then I don't have to put everything away and reset things up. Yeah. Although I would very much like to do some miniature making. I'm sure I can get it sorted. It just comes down to growing bigger balls. If I get bigger balls, then it's all good. Okay, so let's just lean you over. Lean over, and I will just stroke you on the back, just like so. The greens are not consistent right across, I've discovered. The Carter videos I have leave. Yeah, that's right. See you later, Carter videos. No problems. Yeah, bye. He's gone. Brandon, how's it going? What are you up to, mate? You doing anything useful? Or just fun? Hopefully it's fun. Doesn't always have to be useful though. Okay. The brush. Okay, so we're up to an hour. Oh, what have you got here, Casey? Let's see. It's held for review. What have we got here? Okay, we're putting that up. Let's talk about that, Casey. Let's talk about that. Yeah. Why not? So, my group ended up killing Venomfang, and I'm thinking of having the Cult of Dragons resurrect Venomfang, but I don't know if that would be a dick move or not. Okay, so here's the thing, Casey Brooks. If Venomfang dies and the Cult of Dragons bring him back as a Dracolich, that is, as a Dungeon Master, a dick move. Okay? Does that mean you should not do it? Now, I know what people are thinking. Fred, are you saying that your advice as a Dungeon Master is to be a dick? It might seem that way, but it is super cool. Sometimes your villains should come back to life, just like players' characters would come back to life. I think it's a fantastic idea, Casey. I think you should definitely give it a go. I would not necessarily do it to them too soon, so don't bring Venomfang back as a Dracolich straight away, but certainly consider doing it at some point, because it would be just hugely entertaining. I can't think of anything funnier, actually, and it gives you the opportunity to reuse a villain that you had before that had died. Why would you not want to do something like that? It just made the villain vastly more deadly and dangerous. So that is my feedback to you regarding that situation. It's up to you from there on to decide whether you will do it. If your group are not really trusting in you and would struggle with the idea, then maybe you shouldn't. But that's my feedback so far. Okay, so what am I using? Sorry guys, I'm using a different brown. I'm using Vallejo Flat Earth. So because those paints just seem to be covering better. And I know it's a lighter brown, but I just need to get the coverage done right. and that is going to be like 2 applications of brown and I'm done, which is a lot easier. Much easier to do. Brandon, what do you got here? Coming up with a homebrew Planescape 5e campaign. Ooh, I believe we're going to probably see a Planescape travelling adventure in 2019. We've got a sailory on the seas water-based underwater one coming, but I think we'll see a Planescape for sure. It's been on the cards. I'm sure it will happen. Should be a lot of fun. I do remember running my campaign as a sort of a kind of like a spelljammer. They had their own sort of ship that was sailing the astral sea. Mainly that was a request, you know, people wanted that. I try to give people what they want, not always, but sometimes. Okay, I'm just chucking paint everywhere now. So for those of you who haven't figured it out, this is just me stress relieving. If you haven't figured it out, I've got some plan, but not a complete plan. It'll all work out in the end, I'm sure. And I have heaps of time, so coming back and painting stuff isn't going to be an issue. I would like to be able to get to a point where it looked sort of partly complete, but that ain't going to happen. It's pretty obvious at this point. It's just not going to happen like that. Never mind. I say it now, Vallejo paint is going on super good in comparison to the other paints. There's Army Painter paints, not as great. My brother swears by Vallejo. He says, you know, if you're going to get paint and you want it cheap and you want it good, it's Vallejo. And I guess he's right. He seems to be anyway. Alright. I should figure out how to make one of these. Darren, I tried to post a link to the stainless steel bearings, but didn't post. Just try some other time, Darren. Best campaign setting in my opinion. Brandon, I'm not going to disagree with that. If that's what you like and what your players like, then that's fine. I certainly enjoyed it. But then, just because I enjoy it doesn't mean everybody does, right? Oh yeah. Good news, good news. Paint is going on. It looks a lot neater and tidier than it did before. Okay. Alright. So we'll keep going with this. This seems to be working reasonably well. I've got most of that section sort of done. There are still some white sections, but we will deal with them. So for anybody who decides to paint this thing, make sure you spray it or just paint the whole thing green first. Start with that. It's definitely the best strategy, I think. Rather than the way that I'm doing it, which is I thought would be better, but it's not. It's not going to work out to be better. It's going to be just more time consuming. Righto, righto. I mean, it is a shambling mound, so I suppose my paint work doesn't have to be brilliant. But with so many browns and greens, I'm really tempted to use a lot of them. Just because I've got them. Yeah. That's right. There we go. And there. Come on. Let's get a bit of brown along there, down that way. Casey, what do you got here? I wasn't thinking of a Dracolich, I was thinking of a resurrection like a PC, but a Dracolich is a good idea, thanks Fred. Whoops! Oh god. Whoops. Okay, well your idea was good too. I may have made the whole situation much worse than before. I should have guessed. Ah, dear. If your players ever watch this video and they find out, I suspect I'm in trouble. But it's not like, you know, see, this is the thing with monsters. Even if the players' characters die, eventually they are going to take out your monsters. It's only a matter of time. If they keep playing, they will eventually die. Unless, of course, you just say, okay, alright, your characters die, and guess what? We're ending the campaign. Because there's no opportunity to exact revenge. And you want your players to feel like they have to exact revenge, right? Because your monsters did something horrible. Whether it's kill their character, kill their brother, kill their mother, kill their family, kill their father, you killed my father, prepare to die, you know, all that sort of stuff. It is part of D&D, giving them the opportunity to come back and have another shot at it. Just my opinion anyway. I have had a campaign where the players ended a little bit like Angel or Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think it was more like Angel in that TV series where they were, you know, there was demons everywhere. They weren't dead, they weren't badly hurt or anything, and I said, okay, and you can see the landscape is covered in demons and there's fire everywhere, and that's the end of the campaign. And they're like, Fred, really? And I was like, yeah. It's one of those times where I only did it because the campaign was getting out of control. And the only way to reel it in was to just end it, as far as I was concerned. Sometimes you just need to bring a campaign to an end so it is not going to be unwieldy. Okay. Okay, what do we got here? I feel like I need to chuck some black into that mouth. Let's do that. And give it a shake, give it a shake, give it a shake, give it a shake. I'm using, sorry, for those of you who are wondering what type of paint I'm using Vallejo black. I'm not using the Army Paint black, I'm using Vallejo black. I'm using my standard brush, no fine details yet. And I feel like I'm going to have to just jam it into the mouth. I don't think that any sort of technical method is going to work to get it into that mouth. If you can see what I'm looking at and how hard it is to get into that space, it's going to have to be just jam it in and then tidy up everything later. So that's what I'll do. Jam it in, tidy it up later. Darren D, Darren P, Dan. I forgot about Angel ending, yeah. So I kind of ended up my campaign like that. I'd used Pathfinder adventures, I'd used Dungeons and Dragons adventures, I'd used older and I had decided to just let them go bananas with magic items. So they were dripping. They were literally like dripping with magic items. Some of them had replaced parts of their body with magic items. Everything that I could possibly think of that they wanted, I let them have. And it was at that point where you realize, you're like, how can I fix this? Oh, well, I can take the magic items off them or have them be stolen. And I was like, no. I can make the baddies more powerful. And it's like, well, it doesn't matter now if you try to make them more powerful, which I certainly am not. It's not like I couldn't have done. but it was no longer fun for me. So when it's no longer fun, end of campaign. And yes, you can see demons running amok across the world. Okay, right now. So I've got black here. I've still got a bit of black. Is there a place where I should put black? I feel like the base. The base could be, some of it could be black. I could paint some of the base black. Not super super exciting, I realise that, guys. Guys and gals, I keep forgetting that there are a variety of people who watch my channel. Okay, get it on. Get it in there. Come on, get it on. How to paint a miniature base black. I need a bit more water. A little bit of water, a little bit of water, a little bit of water, and apply. And it's not going on very good. Never mind. You've seen me paint black before. Okay, alright, okay. So it's I feel like this is like an hour of you watching me paint a miniature, a little bit black, brown, and green. Which is an improvement, because usually I just paint the whole thing black. James, I have done a lot of research on the Moon Druid and on the Divine Soul Sorcerer, and it seems to me that the Druid has more survivability, but the Sorcerer does more damage. Would you agree? James, you're asking me a question which is like, it's not a question. I mean, I'm not a power gamer. I don't actually go through and figure those sorts of things out. I am the last person you want to be asking those types of questions of, because one, it's stuff that I just don't find interesting. One of my least favorite parts of Dungeons and Dragons is the mechanics. Character building, I can't stand. Mechanics, even the mechanic. I know I do a channel that deals with rules, but the reason is because I feel sorry for people who have to deal with all that complexity. They're so complex. So I do a channel that explains how to deal with that sort of stuff. I would have to do research. So yeah, I'm not the best person to answer that question. I do apologise if that's not really helpful to you, but I just needed to make it clear. Joe, it's the talking more than the painting, Fred. Well, it's a good thing too, because you're not seeing much of painting job. I'm sure after a few hours it'll look a lot better, because I do have a lot of green, so at least it will look colourful. But it's gonna, I can see it's gonna take me hours to get all the green on here. Emerald green, no, deep. Let's try some Vallejo deep green. Vallejo deep green in some of the other areas that I have missed. James, okay, I understand, thank you. You're welcome, James. I know that's really counter, it doesn't, you know, how come you run a channel on Dungeons and Dragons and your least favourite part, and since your channel is just full of rules videos, how is it that is the part that you find the least interesting? It's just always been that way. I got so lazy with Pathfinder that I used to get one of my friends to build all my characters. That's how much excitement I get out of it. If you ask me to do a video on the topic and I have to go and do research, that is something I can do. But it's not going to do you any good, because God knows when I would do the video. You know, it could be a year from now, it could be tomorrow, it could be 5 years from now. So yeah. But I might like to point out that I have lots of friends on my Facebook group who love building characters and would answer that question much better than I am able to. And so you might find that if you jump on there, if you're on Facebook, go to HowtoDandD and put up a question, someone will respond. There'll be somebody who will give you a response. There usually is, which is good. Trying to build a community of people outside of my own opinion. And there's plenty of people who have lots of opinions that are counter to my own on that Facebook group. Which is fine. I don't care. And they fill gaps that I can't fill. Yes. La 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 la. Deep green looks very different to the camo, doesn't it? Looks like, I know what I need to do is once I've got all the paint areas covered, I need to go over and pick out certain details and to stick with a particular colour for that area, and that would make a big difference. Let's just paint that leaf green and maybe part of his backside. A little bit of spaces there. No, it's not going in. Okay, so water it down, Fred. Water it down. Antonio will be saying, Fred, you do not water your paints down. Oh, what did I say before about you should be watering your paints down? I do appreciate the advice, Antonio. And I do realise that half the time you give me good advice and I don't follow it anyway. Dear. But in this case, I'm probably going to have to water it down because it is very thick, this stuff. Now, I don't know if you can necessarily see what I'm painting, but I am getting areas covered. We're definitely going to have to come back to this. For those of you who are thinking, oh, are you ever going to finish this miniature? Are you going to finish any of your miniatures, Fred? Yes, I will. Man, it's a scorcher out there. If I was outside, I'd be melting. Can you feel it? Can you feel it through the internet? Brandon, what do you got here? Here is how I would view this, James. Sorcerer has on-demand damage, but can be KO'd very quickly. I would say the Druid is more reliable because their DPR character to no damage. I don't understand that. I'm sure you'll be able to uncode that. If you can't uncode it, then you'll just have to ask a question, and hopefully Brandon can explain. Dead. Okay. A wash of medium brown to dark brown will work well on their Fred. Okay, but I do that last. I wash that last. Should I do it last or should I do it first? I mean, I'm definitely not doing washes on live because that would be much more sensible for me to do a whole bunch of different miniatures and just wash the whole lot all at once. Because once you washed it, you really can't do much else. Ooh. Maybe I should wash it. Wash it now, wash it later. No. I'm just going to keep going with the paint and then I will wash it. What do you think? What do you think? Darren, do I wash it and then come back and work on it, or do I continue trying to get my paint on? I do have some washes. I got the washes from the Nolzur's Marvellous Pigments set. Thank you, Gale Force 9, for the paints. I might be not saying anything particularly good about the paints, but thank you very much. I'm sure they will come in useful. Blah 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 blah. Go 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 go. Get in there. DPR. Yeah, James, I was wondering what DPR was too. Joe, yeah, sure, it looks table ready. Oh dear. You're just being nice now. You're just being nice. Well, I'm going to have to say thank you to everybody because I am super relaxed now. Damage per round, DPR. Okay, got it. Any white spots unpainted will come out in a light brown after a wash or two. Okay, alright. So I might be able to get away with it a little bit. A wash or two, more than one wash. Anyway, I feel like I've done a whole lot of nonsense here. I mean, let's get real. You could probably do just about anything you liked with this, and it would still look fine. I mean, it is a green monster with a little bit of brown here and there, and I can't imagine that you could go wrong at all. Okay, all right. So look, we're going to stop there. It's been like a Darren agrees. Dear. Do you have any army painter strong tone? No, I don't have any strong tone, Joe. But I do have, like I said, I have the washes. I have a brown wash. I have a flesh wash, which I don't think would be a very good idea. And I have the shadow wash. So I think that the brown wash or the shadow wash is probably the way to go. I would say the brown wash, right? That'd probably be the best way to sort of clean it up, so I've got somewhere to start from, and I can start using my different pretty colours of green and brown and orange on it and actually make it look like something that is a bit better. Anyway, I'll turn it this way. Sorry guys. It's going to blend into the environment that you can see right in front of you. Dear. I am a shocker. For those of you who are actually still watching my channel, you have had to put up with quite a lot of nonsense, I do realise. Dear. Right, look, I'm going to go, guys. I'm going to lose my voice otherwise, I don't want to do so. I've been at this for about an hour and a half. I am feeling very, very comfortable, which means it's time to eat some food. And look, I will be back. I don't know when, probably sometime tomorrow. I don't know when tomorrow. Whether I'll be painting miniatures or making miniatures, it'll be one of those, I would imagine. Will I put other videos up that aren't related to that sort of thing? Yeah, probably will. I usually do. So, yes. I could say my... Oh, do I say my usual thing? Yeah, I can say my usual thing. If you like this video, please share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified if I do a live stream like this. I do lots of streaming like this, usually with painting and crafting anyway. If you want to support the channel, you did so by sitting through this very long video. If you watched part of it, well done. I have hundreds more videos, and I have lots of painting and crafting videos too, if you're interested. I don't do Patreon. I have affiliate links down in the description. You know the story of that sort of thing. If you weren't part of the live stream, that's what the comment section's all about. And till next time, keep rolling those 20s. End of Travelling Matt. Okay, see you later, guys. Bye-bye.